What is up everyone? Crypto Comrade here, back with another video. In this video today, I want to talk to you about my 4 tips in order to take profits during this bull run. Now, in case you haven't noticed, if you've been asleep or if you've been living under a rock, we are in alt season. That means everything is pumping across the charts. And even if you lay it down against Bitcoin, you'll see that most of these coins are performing really well. So not only against the US dollar, but also against Bitcoin. Okay, you see everything is outperforming Bitcoin. Okay, so you have researched, you got some good entries, you're into some projects that you like, and now everything starts going green. But remember that none of that profit is yours until you press the sell button. Okay, this is very important because I'm sure you've read about it by now that there's a lot of people that had some very nice profits during the last bull run, but they end up getting negative, okay, because they did not sell. They tried to, either they thought it was going to go on forever, that time was different from the last time, or whatever the reason that might have crossed their mind. You have to get your feet down on the ground and realize that the same can happen to you if you don't have a strategy. So I've been trying to develop a strategy in order to maximize my profits and minimize my risk. One of the most important things that you can do and that you have to try to do from the beginning is realize that you will never be able to sell at the top, okay? Because, I mean, you can try to do it, but you'll be running a risk that's completely asymmetrical to the reward, okay? You'll run the risk of missing out big time. And that's just something that it's not, as I'm going to show you on the chart, it's not that relevant on the long run. Okay, so don't be fooled by a little bit more percent on your growth, because you might be sacrificing a lot. Okay, so tip number 1: take a look and know the Bitcoin. Take a look and know the Bitcoin chart. Okay, why is this important? Follow the king. That's the tip number 1. Well, because Bitcoin is the prime mover, and as you know, Bitcoin is the biggest cryptocurrency in the market today. It is the leader. It is the one ring, I mean, not the one ring to rule them all now, because there's a lot of other cryptocurrencies that are also very big. But, you know, Bitcoin is king, no doubt about that. And Bitcoin has something very big going for it. It's the cryptocurrency in which we have the biggest history on. So that means that is the one that we can look upon to draw examples about what might happen on the future. And, you know, even if you try to look to the Ethereum chart, as we're going to see, price history only goes back as far as 2017. So, like with Bitcoin, you have a lot more to work with, and you can try to understand how the market moves. And, well, as you might have realized by now, it's almost always the same pattern. You know, you have a top, a bottom, a top, a bottom, and now we're going to have another top. So why is looking at Bitcoin also important? Well, first of all, you'll know when the market starts to move, right? And as you can see, as soon as Bitcoin crossed here, its previous all-time high, you're at about $20,000, you know that you are in the bull run. You can also use some indicators like the moving averages. So the moving averages are basically averages of the price movement. So they will aggregate the price from the last days and then plot a line with that data. In this case, I'm using the 6-day exponential moving average, which makes an average of the last 6 days, but puts more emphasis on the last few days. So it's a rapid, it's a line that adapts more rapidly to price movement. And then it's against a simple moving average of the last 25 days. Okay, so as soon as the line of the 6 days starts to move above the line of the 25 days, that means we are in an uptrend. When the 6-day line starts to move below the blue line, that means we are in a downtrend. Okay, so as long as this is a mini tip. Okay, so we are reviewing the charts and the Bitcoin chart. As long as the white line, if you are in this for the long term, if you're not trying to swing trade, as long as the white line or the 6-day average stays above the 25-day average, you should not sell because we are in an uptrend, okay? The price is going up. So this is good when you are faced with a situation like this. We know that Bitcoin broke the all-time high here. It went up and then it dropped, okay? It dropped from top to bottom 32%. And this is normal. This happens a lot of times, but you might get scared, okay? Because you are new and you might have an instinct to panic sell. But as long as the white line is not having a tendency to cross below the blue line, you are safe, okay? So that's something to watch out. And also, if you get a little bit emotional or get scared, this is something you can look on to try to comfort yourself. Okay, so that's one thing we can do looking at the Bitcoin chart. There has been some work done trying to time the top, and a lot of research has been done on that topic by some very knowledgeable guys on Medium and on Twitter and etc. And they have came up with a nice indicator that has been able to always time the top. Okay, within 3 days or with a margin of error of 3 days, the Pi cycle indicator has always managed to time the top. Okay, as you can see here, we're on the weekly chart, so it's not as good. But if you look on the daily chart, you can see that it pretty much timed the exact top. Okay, now the problem is this will only work in hindsight. Okay, so perhaps what you can do is, if you're fortunate enough that, because what happened in 2017 is we had the Pi cycle top here, and then we had some time. We had at least 2 days here on the top that we can sell our Bitcoin. But you might get a top and then a big red candle. So you shouldn't rely on just one indicator to let you know what you're going to do. But this has been working out pretty consistently. So this can really help you time the top of the Bitcoin chart. The same happened here, okay? It's quite scary actually. This can be so well timed, okay? So it really times the top well. But again, we should not rely on just a single indicator, because we are putting ourselves at a big risk of waiting for an indicator that may never come. Okay, so besides the EMA and the moving averages can help us spot the trend and know if we're still going up or if we're starting to go down. But as you can see, they tend to be a little bit slow. Okay, so if I show you here, you can see that if you sold here, you might have sold at 16,000, which is not that bad. But you might, depending on how things moves, if it moves a little bit faster, they might cross, or if it moves a little bit slower, they might cross a little bit later, and you might find yourself losing more money. So, it can help. So now you have two indicators to play with. You can juggle them around and try to, if both of them happen at the same time, that's clearly a sell signal, okay? But as you can see, we had a big dip here, and it crossed below, so you might have, if you only relied on this indicator, you might have sold here and you would have lost a huge ton of upside, okay? You would have sold at $6,000, $7,000 when you went up to 20,000, okay? So what else can we use? So one thing that I've noticed is that as I've used multiple moving averages, the top of the cycle tends to happen when when the move is the most parabolic, okay? So what that translates into is that the price is the most separated from its moving average, okay? It means that we can see with this moving average, because this is the 25 average, but if we take this to the 30-day average, you'll see that the gap here, so what I'm talking about is this distance, okay? So the distance that goes from the price to the moving average, okay? The bigger this distance, the more parabolic the move is. So that means that we are perhaps the closest to the last move, or the most, where there's a huge greed in the market, which typically correlates with the top of the market, okay? So I've came up with this, I didn't create it, okay? I just found it on TradingView, this moving average deviation rate. So this red line measures how deviated the price is from a said moving average. Right now I'm using the 21 moving average. I'll have to try around with this a bit, but this seems to work fairly well. So it doesn't time the top. As you can see, it starts here to go above, but it can help you know that the top is coming, okay? So if you manage to use this this moving average deviation rate, the Pi cycle top, and the moving average cross, I think you can, with some security, get a good price to exit. Okay, for example, you can use the start to get ready. Okay, so you can move your Bitcoin to the exchange, know that something might come around, you can see it go down. As it starts coming up, you know that something is gonna come. Okay, so you must be ready. You might, as we're going to talk later on, you might try to put in your first stop loss order in order to avoid or mitigate your risk, and then you can wait a little bit, see if the price cycle top comes in. Then you know that you must sell because you have already seen that you are very far away from the moving average. And then maybe if you decide to, you can wait for the averages to cross, and then you can sell all your Bitcoin, and you should have gotten a nice exit point. Now, some people might say, well, but if you exit here at this point in the cross, let's say we don't get the price cycle top for some reason, you will exit at 15,000. So that means you will lose $5,000 of upside. But that's a bit misleading, because in reality, this is only a 25% uptrend, okay? Now, if you take into consideration that, just so we can compare, since Bitcoin broke the previous all-time high, it went up 1,315%. So 25% in here, it would translate to, you losing about, so that's maybe a 2x, okay, which might be a lot of money, but the risk you run of being greedy and not selling at this point might cost you a lot more than those 2x. So you have to come to peace with the fact that you will not be able to sell at the top, and you might have to sacrifice some profit in order to make sure you get some bank, okay? So this is it for Bitcoin. This is why you should follow the king. Another big reason for you to follow the king is related to another chart, and it's tip number 2, okay, is that you should know your charts, okay? What do I mean by this? If you study your charts and you understand how history has been working for us, you should have you should have realized this by now, that it moves, the crypto market moves in cycles. So there usually, okay, now it seems to be playing out not completely different, but a little bit more overlaps. But usually Bitcoin pumps, then Bitcoin stops pumping or even goes down in price, and altcoins start pumping. Some people have tried to break this down even more. So Bitcoin pumps, then Ethereum pumps, then large caps pump, etc. But I think it's safe to say that we have not seen this in this market. So because Polkadot, Kusama, Cardano are pumping a lot more than Ethereum, for instance. And even some small caps are going way better than Ethereum right now. So, I mean, we shouldn't be like over dogmatic about this. We should take this as an indication and not as something set in stone, okay? But why is this important? It's because you know that as soon as if you can time, or if you can have a perception that Bitcoin is reaching the top, okay? What we talked about, the pi cycle top, the deviation from the moving average and the moving average crossover, then you know that the last altcoin cycle is coming, okay? Because that happens after the last Bitcoin pump, okay? So how can you see that on a chart? It's the Bitcoin dominance chart, okay? So this basically tells you how much of the total crypto market cap is represented by Bitcoin. And as you can see, in 2017, during the bull run, it was steadily going down. So here, altcoins pump, Bitcoin pumps. Altcoins pump, Bitcoin pumps, altcoins pump. This is the last huge pump which led to the huge Ethereum run. Okay, and then as you can see, Bitcoin comes back slowly in dominance, and we have the crypto winter of altcoins mostly during this time. Okay, now we know that in the summer, we had a little bit of an altcoin run. This was this dip. Okay, then Bitcoin recovered, rallied to 40,000, and now altcoins are taking over again. As you can see, we have some resistance here, so maybe we'll cross directly here, or maybe Bitcoin will go up again a little bit, then we'll cross. And you should know that with this chart, you have a very important information. For instance, let's say that you think that you still haven't reached your targets of price for a given altcoin, but if you see that the dominance is approaching the lower levels, if you see the dominance approaching what it approached during 2017 bull run, you should consider selling, because that means you are very close to what the maximum altcoin explosion was in 2017. So if you come near this price, I'm not saying you should sell everything, okay, but you should start considering that you might be near the top of the cycle. Even if this happens after you timed or realized that Bitcoin might be hitting the top, then you should really start considering to sell 90-95% of your altcoin positions, okay? Of course, some people might say, well, what if we go even lower? What if this time is a super altcoin cycle and we might go even to a lower Bitcoin dominance? Well, it can happen. The best way to protect yourself against that is to not sell everything, okay? Or, I mean, you need to know your risk tolerance and how you manage your if you are more risk averse or not. I personally will have to study how much of my gains I have realized and if I'm happy with what I have or not. But you should always keep to yourself that you should not be greedy, okay? Because you are running against the probabilities if you try to go for the last bit of the profits, okay? So this is Bitcoin dominance. This is a very important chart because this will let you know how the cycles are playing out, okay? As you can see, we are entering an altcoin cycle because we've seen everything pumping against Bitcoin. Then as Bitcoin goes up again, we might see this go up a little bit again, and Bitcoin goes up against the altcoins. Then we go down for a big alt season. Maybe we have one big, huge last altcoin season like what happened during 2017, okay? Maybe if things play out like this. But you know, this should give you a good gauge if you're approaching the top of the altcoin cycle or not, okay? If you start to reach this part here, this bottom, then maybe it's time to sell, okay? Now, you should always know the charts of the individual altcoins, but this can be, the instinct is to when to know when to sell is to look at the individual charts, but I think this is a little bit misleading because even if you look at the Ethereum chart, okay, you don't have that much price history to look at, okay? So it's not as good as looking at the other charts which have a lot more information. As you can see, these crossovers don't play out so well. Like here you would have sold at $890 when the top was here at 1,400. Again, if we are honest and we trace all the pump of Ethereum back to about $100 to the top, okay, this is a monster move also. So I mean, is it really relevant, this last bit? Okay, you have to gauge for yourself, but this is a little bit bigger than what happened in Bitcoin, so here is almost 100%. But anyway, if you see this crossover, you should really consider selling because you are really approaching the top, okay? And again, if you look at this chart, but you have the backup of the Bitcoin dominance chart and the Bitcoin global chart, you have the Pi cycle top and everything, then you can use this chart to help you. But using this chart independently, it's very hard because, for instance, how do you know? No one really knows how to value Ethereum individually. Like, who knows what the correct price for Ethereum is? No one can really tell you. And if in Ethereum that might not be so much of an issue because it has a longer history, but how would you gauge something like this? Something like Pulse, you know? I mean, this has been around for a couple of months. How do you know when is the correct price? Okay, you have no way to tell it. So you have to be cautious, and this will lead me to my other tip, which is set your targets, okay? So this is what I've decided to do. I've decided to divide my altcoin positions according to risk, okay? So I have high risk coins, medium risk coins, and low risk coins, okay? And I've set fixed points at which I would like to take profit. Now, I know this will lead me to make less gains, okay? Because I will be selling at the fixed point, whether we are on the start of the cycle or the end of the cycle. But then again, my plan is to sell my initial, okay? And put it into Bitcoin and Ethereum. So I will not be selling it into nothing, into air, okay? I'll be selling it into assets that will also grow, so I can compound my gains. So what I've decided to do, well, on the high risk coins, I will sell half of my initial when they do a 2x, okay? And then, well, I'll try to take profits along the way. These are some reference figures, you know, take 10% out at 5x, take 10% out at 10x, 10% out at 15x, so on and so on. And well, in the end, if my coin does 100x, I would have lost theoretically 66.45% of my initial of my money if I hadn't sell anything. Okay, but then again, most of the coins won't do 100x, so it could also happen that I might have lost everything. Okay, but as I was developing this strategy and looking at the numbers, I realized something, that selling 10% along the way has very little impact on what you can make in the end. Okay, it has very little impact. What makes the most impact is how early you decide to sell. Okay, so that's the big difference. So in the high risk coins, I will sell half at 2x. Then at the medium risk coins, I will sell 25% at 4x. And in the low risk coins, I will sell 20% at 5x. And as you can see, only this difference of selling 20% will lead me to only lose 36.5% in the end. So it's a good, I mean, of course, I will be losing some money in case the coin does 100x, because that might never happen. But I also have locked in some profits. Okay, so in this chart, what do you see? You see how the growth is, like in the multiplier, so 1x, 2x, 3x, and so on, the percentage. This is taking an example of $1,000 example of initial profit, or initial investment, sorry. And then you can see how much you have accumulated in the bank, how much you have left in the coin, and the total you have invested. Okay, so the one you have in the coin plus what you have taken out, and how much you have lost. Okay, this is theoretical loss, because you don't know if the coin will perform like this, so you might have even lost everything. And also this money will be in Bitcoin or Ethereum, which would be also performing. Okay, so this is not as bad as it looks. So I think this will help me to, in case all the strategies I've told you about fail, in case I get greedy, because I'm also human, I can also, not be able to control my emotions. This will lead me to make gains no matter what. Okay, so I'll be locking in profits no matter what. As you can see, I've already locked some initial profits on some coins. I've even also taken the second profit in Pulse, which has done more than a 10x now. And there are some coins that I've exited completely at 2x, which can also be a good strategy. So this will help me keep in check. Okay. However, some of my positions, which I'll call the blue chips, these ones I will only sell at fixed targets. Okay. These are the coins that I've studied the most, that I can understand pretty well how disruptive they will be to the crypto industry. And I pretty much at this point have zero doubts that DOT, ADA, and Kusama will not perform. Okay, I think it's pretty much, I can't imagine DOT not reaching $100, to be honest. And that will be the first time I would consider selling Polkadot. It's at $100. I have some videos about it, DOT and Cardano and Bitcoin. I will leave a link in the upper right hand corner, so you can check them out if you want. So this is the coins that I know I'm most confident in. So I can put optimistic target, a reasonable target actually, but it's based on a lot of data. So most of these coins, I don't know if these coins will perform. I'm running a huge risk of losing my money if I don't take some profits along the way. So I've come up with this strategy. I think it's the most balanced one, and I think it can work really good. So the final tip number 4 is, so the third one was set your targets, and the fourth one is cover your back. Okay, what do I mean by this? As soon as I've told you, in some of these altcoins, even Ethereum or whatever, you don't know when the top's coming in. Okay, so imagine if you took some profits here at 8x, for instance, and then the coin goes to 15x and then it drops to 0. You lose a lot of profits on the way. So what can you do? You should start to set stop losses. Okay, as soon as you can tell by what we talk about Bitcoin and whatnot, as soon as you start to tell that we are reaching the top, you should consider to start putting some stop losses, because you might go to sleep, wake up the next day, and the market has dropped dramatically and you have lost a lot of money. Okay, so what is my recommendation? For instance, let's look at Bitcoin as an example. Okay, let's say this was some altcoin you were trying to sell. You looked at Bitcoin, you saw that you are reaching the top, the pi cycle top has appeared, you know the trend is starting to reverse, you know that you are way deviated from your moving average. So what can you do? Well, you can then go to your altcoin chart. For instance, we can go here to the Ethereum chart. Let me just go to the Ethereum USDT. Exactly. For instance, okay, let's say you were here, okay, and you realize the Bitcoin hit the top, and then you start to see Ethereum go up, and you say, okay, I don't know if this is going to cross, because I will only know afterwards that it has crossed. So you see it go like a big green candle. You can put a stop loss order here. Okay, so in case it goes down, you have some profits. You see it go up again, you move your stop loss over here. You see it go up again, you move your stop loss over here. And you can keep doing this, okay, daily, moving up a little bit, and then if it drops, when it drops, you would have sold on profit, okay? And you have some confidence that this was not a fake drop because you have seen the Bitcoin charts. You know that Bitcoin has reached the top or is reaching a top, so you know that this is the last chance you have to take profits. So if you keep putting up your stop losses and don't get greedy, you will be able to lock in most of your profits, okay? I think if you take the 4 steps that I've showed you, you have everything to do well in the altcoin run and in the bull run in general. That's what I'm intending to do. I think it's a solid research and I mean it's a thought on plan. Okay, this is not something that I've decided to come up with out of the blue. This is something that I've given some thought, and I think it can lead me to minimize my risk while maximizing my profits. I would pretty much like to know your opinion on the charts down below, on the comments below. Sorry. And also, I would like you to tell me if you can, what type of videos you would like to see from me, because I don't really have had the time to research on some projects, but if I see that people want to see more research, I'll be more motivated to do it. That's pretty much it, guys. I hope you are making some serious gains in this run, and I wish everyone a beautiful bull run, that you can make your financial goals come true, and that you might be able to, in case if you're in that position, to break free from your debt, your maybe your strangling work, that you can take this chance not to be disappointed because you missed, but that you'll be able to come out of this reinforced to live a more fruitful and enjoyable life. Okay, so see you next time, guys. See you next time.